Today's Mob Rules is brought to you by Blue Ribbon Chicken, the best fucking chicken we've ever had in our lives.
Oh, that was disappointing. So Blue Ribbon Chicken, is that like one of those meal boxes or something you order in the mail?
No, I wish. God, if it came in the mail, fucking dang it. Dude, I'd be so fat. Shit. Stuff is so good. I saw a picture on Twitter today of a dude holding an orange microphone using, and like the same font and everything that was in this picture was literally what they use for this restaurant down there.
Yeah.
And so my only thought was, the chicken looks like you're holding a piece of like a drumstick. It's delicious.
Well, welcome to Mob Rules, episode 101.
Yeah.
I am John, joined as always by
Dave
and by Danny, who's Danny's not here. Danny has been
he's dying.
Yeah, he's really taking offense to me starting mainly Nurgle stuff, so he's deciding to die from a plague right now. So
Apparently.
Get better soon, Danny. But me and Dave are here, and we're here.
Yeah, we're sticking it out just for you guys. Also, I needed to get out of my house because I was going to kill the women that live there.
So, our bi-weekly stress relief session. Because I know, like, I've had a baby in the house for 2 weeks now. So I can definitely use...
Amanda's had a baby in the house for like 5 years, right?
No, excuse you, 9.
9?
We've been together a surprisingly long amount of time.
That is surprising.
But yeah, so we came together. Mainly, we're going to talk about a couple things. Mainly, Dave, your experience in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I started listening to the Warhammer Adventures, Attack of the Necrons book today.
Oh, yeah?
So a little bit about that. And then just some general hobby stuff and kind of resetting for the new Mob Rules year, I guess, is the best thing we can do about
we refresh,
where we're going.
We refresh every LVO. It starts over. Yeah.
Pretty much. It was about this time last year that the TED bowed out. May.
Yeah, May
sometimes, but kind of like the first half of the year. So yeah, we're just going to kind of reset, refresh, and call it good. Just because Danny, we poisoned him, doesn't mean he's gone forever. He's just gone for today. So that is definitely not part of the refresh.
Yeah, no. Danny's currently at the pharmacy getting $500 worth of drugs, so he cannot be dead.
God bless America.
Yes.
So Dave, what have you been up to?
Well, let's see. Since last we recorded, I went to I took a trip, but we'll cover that later.
We'll cover that in a little bit here. Yeah.
Anybody that sees anything, that follows us at all saw tons of stuff going on down there because we were crazy. But since I've been back, I have decided that I'm going to actually take myself to the next level in the ITC.
Ooh.
Because when the ITC ended, I was 1885.
That seems very American. Oh wait, no,
right.
That's 1775.
17. No, I was
1776.
1885th out of 10,000.
It's pretty good, man.
It's okay. It's no 1471.
Who's 1471?
You are.
Oh yes.
And I can't let that happen again.
I forgot to play for the last 6 months.
Yes. I don't know how that happened. I think somebody played as you because I was looking at your points total going, that's not possible.
No, I got a couple second places,
Yeah.
a couple higher scoring tournaments and things like that there.
Well, you did better than me. And most of the tournaments I played in were towards the later end of the year when everybody's on doing their holiday stuff, so not really playing in the tournaments. So weren't a lot of high point scoring stuff. So, you beat me by 10 points.
And 430 places.
Yeah, which is apparently a lot. So
we've all we're all on this new year, new army kick, right?
Yeah, well, kind of.
Kind of. Well, you've switched it up a little bit there. But for this upcoming, season, what are you working on for that there?
So I sat down and I started thinking about it, not knowing what the new Primaris box set has completely got in it, because right now we've only seen previewed the super sexy librarian.
Oh man, I had a really good conversation with Alec Beals about that librarian.
Oh man,
it bothers both of us that he has a piece of cloth fabric over the exhaust vent on his backpack.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, there's some small things, but it's a new librarian, maybe new disciplines. Don't really know. There's also the new scout, Primaris Reavers.
Yes, with their
Yeah.
very subtle autocannons.
No, those are the Inceptors.
Okay,
those
the
are
Inceptors.
Those are the jump pack guys with
Yeah.
the big old, the big dick energy guns there. That's,
Yeah.
yeah, and we
Well,
don't.
no, you're
we
right.
still
They
don't-
have like the
snipers. Yeah,
the snipers on steroids.
yeah.
You know, people bitch the original Marines are being phased out. If they phased out original Space Marine Scouts, I don't think I could care less.
You'd still see regular Space Marine Scouts getting played because
Oh, I know,
they're
but-
so cheap.
But
you know.
but it's that Duke Nukem chin on them. You know,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just it's
Oh.
not a nice kid anymore. And like it's something like I've noticed because I picked up some of the older metal Nurgle models as well. But like when you put the older ones beside the newer ones, it just
Makes you want to cry.
it does. Yeah.
No, I'm aware. I found a bunch of old stuff and I went, oh, this looks like crap. But so I sat down and thought about it. You know, I have a ton of Primaris Space Marines. I have a ton
Sure,
of regular
yeah.
Space Marines. I could, try my very hardest to rank high because one of the things I want to do is take a best in faction this year.
Oh sure.
And that's a lofty goal considering we're up here in Alaska. And if you take a faction that a lot of people play, it's a lot harder to score major points, unlike the
Hey,
people in
big
Lower
up
48.
to our teammate Joe, who was best in faction for Renegades and Heretics.
Yeah, and we had number 2 for Space Wolves and number 3 for Blood Angels. And if Danny had listened to me and just kept playing Harlequins, we'd have had number 1 in Harlequins. But no, orcs were sexy and awesome. You had to play orcs. Ugh.
I mean, they're pretty sexy. But yeah,
Disclaimer,
so
Mob Rules loves orcs.
So so you're looking at kind of winning best in faction for your thing. Lofty goal.
It really is.
Especially a couple of them you're kind of automatically knocked out of because there's a couple players who are pretty consistent in what they play. Like I don't think anyone up here is going to have best in faction Gene Stealer called. I think that's going to be a popular, well-played army.
So there is somebody up here that could possibly have best in faction GCLR cult, but not where he currently lives. Mm-hmm. So our buddy Eric, hardcore Tyranid player.
Oh, new host.
Yeah,
The guy is replacing me,
yes.
apparently.
Well, I was going to cover that later in the recap, but
Spoilers.
Eric is hard for Genes to the Color. When we did the video, if I could have had Eric on the phone the whole time talking about it, were it not violating some sort of NDA, I just to listen to his reaction of him going, oh, because he's diehard Tyranids, diehard Gene Stealer.
Yeah.
Cult. I think if Eric did not live where he lived, he could be easily top 5.
I think
in Gene Stealer
if a
cults.
lot of us didn't live where we live. We could
No,
be
because
top
well,
5.
let's look at it this way: we had top Space Wolves, we had top Blood Angels, we have top Renegades and Heretics, but they're down here in our main hub instead of up in Fairbanks,
Yeah.
where there's less tournament action.
That's
if
fair.
you will.
That's fair.
But weighing my options as to what I like to play and where there are some auto, eliminations, I'm never going to win best faction Imperial Guard.
No.
Never going to win best faction Yannari or Harlequins or right.
Any flavor of elf.
Any flavor of elf. Those guys are covered. However, I could do it in Space Marines. There's some really good Space Marine players, but Space Marines traditionally don't place that high.
Right. With the Astarte, just a general
Just
Astartes.
general Astartes.
Yeah.
And I think I could do it with Custodes. Now, I know Jeff in Control was in charge, was number 1 in Custodes for a long time, but he's been drafted by Games Workshop to cover all the tournaments. All the major tournaments that he would have scored points at are now eliminated for him. So there's a couple other guys that are in the top that scored very well, but all of them were not very high up until LVO. Mm-hmm. They were way behind Jeff. And I figure if I play Custodes right, I could easily finish top 5 Custodes.
Okay.
And depending on how well I do at LVO next year, could take it. So I sat down, I wrote out a list, I showed it to Danny, I threw that list in the trash,
Nice.
and then I rewrote the list.
As many of us do after showing our list to Danny.
Right. Actually, Danny pulled some mine crap on me, and then I talked with our buddy Joe about best in faction stuff and claiming it, And I said, well, maybe I'll just do renegades and heretics. And he said, you stay out of my garden.
Stay in your lane, sir.
Yeah. But we worked through a list, and Joe helped me explain, or Joe explained some things to me. One of the things Danny said to me when I showed him the list was, so how do you win? And I said, what do you mean?
It's a strange question,
It is.
right?
It's a very strange question, and one that I had to think about, because I couldn't explain how I win, because I didn't build the list. I didn't build the list with winning in mind. I go out and I just do this and this and this, and then I win.
Yeah.
I built the list with denial in mind.
Okay.
So that they don't score. I win by outscoring them by holding and killing and bonus.
Right.
Every round in the ITC without having to necessarily, get my bread and butter from the secondaries. But by building the list the way I built it, it actually denied 90% of secondaries.
Okay.
Making it so that in order to score max points, they would have to do stuff like recon and ground control and,
Right.
all that stuff that's actually a lot harder for most players because they don't think about it.
Which, to be fair, when I'm building a list, I build lists to score at least 2 of my 3 secondaries as things that you don't have any say over. So I have 1 secondary that means I kill things, and 2 secondaries that are either board control or placement or things that I don't have to worry about killing anything to get.
So and I scrapped that list. And then I sat down and I worked with Joe on a list and to what secondaries I would be able to score on a regular basis against stuff. And now I have a list that I'm actually really happy with.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to order a bunch of stuff from Forge World.
What'd you get? What did you order?
I ordered 3 Cerastus grav tanks, the Custodes grav tanks. I picked up Trajan.
Nice.
Built him this last week. I had 3 fully painted Custodes, but one of them was sword and board. And
Right. And you wanted the garden spears.
Yeah, I want 3 spears. Yeah. So I built another one of those. I built 6 mortar teams because I had, unfortunately, the way that I have the list built, I had X number of points that just couldn't go anywhere. So I built 2 heavy weapon squads with mortar teams.
It happens when your basic trooper is 30 points.
Well, 57 actually.
Well, yeah, but it really does limit you into kind of what you can take.
So this second list is this finalized version I'm going to play with and try out, which I'm not using for our tournament. That's going. So if you're listening to this, we have a tournament today. It's Saturday, obviously, and I will be running a different list that is just kind of like a filler list that still meets the criteria of having 1,001 points in Custodes. But my actual list that I'm looking at is 2 captains on Dawn Eagle jet bikes.
Okay.
Okay. A 6-man jet bike squad.
Wonderful.
Okay. 3-man custode guy squad.
Sure.
Trajan Langdon, and the famous basketball player who gives rerolls of 1s to
Trajan
Valoris, and these 3 heavy tanks. And it actually fills a niche for me that has been itching, because everybody listens to the podcast, John, knows that I love repulsors. I mean,
you do anything with a tank chassis and some kind of anti-gravitic movement you're all about.
So repulsors are 285 kitted out the way that I like. Okay. The custom grav tanks, which are decidedly better, are 210.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say that, it's debatable whether or not the guns are actually better.
I think it's
because las cannons,
Yeah, and I think the repulsor, you're getting a huge volume of shots, but the Custodes one, you're getting a better quality of shot.
You're getting a better quality shot. So their main gun is heavy 8, strength 8, -3, 3 damage, D3 damage.
Right.
Okay. So if you have 3 of them, re-rolling 1s, which means that, because
pretty much all hitting. Yeah.
They're pretty much all hitting. Re-rolling 1s on wounds, because against a knight, which, toughness 8, you're going to be hitting on 4s.
Mm-hmm.
But so a little bit more than half your shots that go through will wound on average.
Mm-hmm.
And then D3, you're looking at 2 average there. So I can do about 16 damage to a knight on a turn, or enough to really incapacitate it. For, it's obviously it's still functional, but it's not as deadly right off the bat.
Right.
the jet bikes moving with the captains, getting all their rerolls that they get, everything fancy they have, and then the heroic 42, and because I have 42 of them, and then 2 squads of mortars.
Yeah, so a bunch of chaff to hold objectives in the back. What's the movement on those grab tanks again?
14.
So your army is pretty mobile and able to kind of move around and avoid a lot of threats there.
Yep, they can move. They can set up. The chaff can basically be set up to hold objectives or deny alpha strikes in the first turn. The jet bikes can get across the field and get recon or anything else. And on top of that, they put a herding on knights themselves. I feel like it's a fairly balanced list, and it's one that I can play. Like, a lot of my problem is that when I'm trying to build a list and play, I don't want to paint these guys or play them, or they're just not something that I like. It's not that's half the problem. I'm not just let me grab what's best on the net and I'm going to go win tournaments. I still have to want to play them.
No, for sure, yeah.
So that's where I'm at with that, and so I built all that stuff up. But this Saturday, because it's just hot garbage list day. Well, because I was talking to the TO about it, and I said, hey, here's what I've got. Can I proxy repulsors for these tanks because they're on order? I have to wait for them to get here. And he said, nope, repulsors are bigger. And I went,
dude, it's a much different footprint.
Okay. It's the same size footprint, actually. Same base.
Height?
I think it's the same height. But
you're going to have to trust me on that one.
All right, I'll trust you on that one. I mean, it's not like I know the most about repulsors of anybody on this show, but whatever, I don't know anything about the grab tank because I haven't seen it in person, because they didn't have any at Forge World, because Forge World didn't bring squat except for all the hot new
stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, this other list that I'm bringing this weekend, I'm actually going to use the new Wing Boys I picked up while I was in Vegas.
Beautiful.
Got to glue them together.
Yep, Nate assembled some. Our buddy Nate assembled some over here the other night, and it was kind of they go together really well, and they're very attractive model.
Yeah, they are. I'm not looking forward to painting the heads because there's no helmet option for them.
Do you not have any spare kind of helmeted heads from your plastic dudes?
But I'd rather not waste them at this point.
Yeah, fair.
Like some idiot has just put a bunch of heads on torsoed bodies for custoed heads on torso bodies for a beach volleyball scene that's still in pieces.
That brings me back.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But I've been building and I've been painting, just working it out. I've been this whole week I've been painting the base colors on the Heroic 42.
How's that going? I don't want to hear any complaints about having to paint large amounts of models.
It's just that they're just such boring models.
Yeah.
The Cadians are just such boring models. There's no love there was no love in the sculpt of the Cadians.
Because it's
like GW was like, in 6 years, we're going to blow up Cadia anyway, so what's the point,
Because, yeah, you paint your uniform color. Your boots are different color, your hat's different color, your chest a different color.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah. And some of them, well, if you're like me and don't like putting accoutrements on models because I think they're stupid, some of the guys that I built were the easy to build buy 5 in a box.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Those were the ones that come with all the accoutrements. Like, literally, they have everything. They've got letters to mom taped to their hip and all sorts of stuff like this. Like, what the hell is this crap? And the ones I did build, though, on the other hand, nothing. Just bare bones. What do you got? This.
That's all you need.
If somebody says WYSIWYG, I'll be like, fine. They don't get to throw their frag grenades, you dick.
They don't get to let their mom know how much they love them.
Just but I was bitching about the heavy weapons teams.
Yeah,
there's no different options.
So really, the best way to assemble your heavy weapons teams is to buy a command box, a command squad box, and then just raid all the bits from there.
Well,
but then you have to buy a command squad box to raid all the bits.
Right, I wasn't going to do that. And like an idiot, I had all those leftover bits from all the other Cadians I built that I had given to our buddy Taylor because I'm a nice guy who shares stuff around. You need this? No problem. By the way, Chris, I mailed out the sniper rifles. Sorry. One of our listeners I was talking to him on Twitter and he was like, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got these sniper bodies, but they're the bolter guys, and I really wish I had sniper rifles. And I was like, oh man, guess what? In an old box that came back to me that I stored a bunch of stuff in from 2001, there are just sniper rifles in there. Scout sniper rifles. No idea why. Don't know don't know what
hundreds of them.
2001 Dave was doing with Scout sniper rifles, but so yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this season, and I'm looking forward to trying to be better in my comp play, and I'm hoping to try to make it out to a major tournament other than LVO this year.
Ooh, good. Dave with the travel plans.
Kind of. Working on a few things, trying to get some stuff tied up. Might end up just in the San Francisco or the
Bay Area Open.
Yeah. Because it'll be closer and easier to get to. Ideally, I'd really love to go to Nova.
Yeah, on the East Coast there.
Yeah. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's a little further. Travel's a little harder.
Yeah, but I did get a giant check from my company. So.
There you go.
So I've got some vacation money.
No, I figured you had by the fact that you bought 3 grav tanks from Forge World.
That one hurt only slightly, and by that I mean I was like, oh god, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Click.
All right. Click. There it is. All right, I'm gonna just look in my. Oh right, never mind. I have tons of money in my bank account.
Yeah.
This is weird.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, my wife had a baby 2 weeks ago, so I have been off work.
Right.
Newborns, very boring. The first 2 to 3 weeks, they essentially just eat and sleep, and that's about it.
Sorry. When my daughter was born, she was my first kid, and that first poop is just magical.
Oh yeah.
So my at the time, my daughter's mom was changing the first time. It was like day 2 or whatever. We were at home changing the diaper out, and she started to poop, and she just did that toothpaste squeezed poop, and her mom flipped her upside down like, what do I do? And just ran at me with a baby who had a log of poop just shooting straight up in the air like a fountain. I was like, well, don't run to me.
Like, stay the fuck away.
That's and then after that, they get really boring. After that first poop happens, you're good.
Yeah. So like I said, the first couple of days we're in the hospital, obviously. And then after that, super dull. Like my wife and I was off work for a couple of weeks, so we had a pretty good system where, she got the overnights and early mornings, and I did the afternoons and evenings, and it worked well for us. We look pretty rested. We're pretty happy people.
Yeah,
but
surprisingly rested.
It left me with so much time for hobbying. It was amazing. I've been so productive this past 2 weeks.
Yeah, you really have.
In the past 2 weeks, I have painted 60 Poxwalkers. I painted Typhus. I have begun to paint 30 Plague Bearers. I've assembled 2,000 points worth of a Nurgle force.
Did you have you watched my Plague Bearer guide on Tabletop Plus? It's actually really fast. Man,
I always watch all of our YouTube stuff, but no.
I'll send you a link.
So I'm just doing the Plague Bearers the same way I did the skin on my Poxwalkers, because I kind of like how it turned out, where I kind of just did a Xandri Dust spray coat, and then a Reiklund Flashshade wash, and then a
good options
Agrax Earthshade wash. And then in my Poxwalkers, any kind of raised area on the skin, I did a Drushi Violet wash. And then any boils, I went back over with the Carringburg Crimson wash. And that was it.
Yeah, the Druki Violet and Carringburg Crimson makes some really nice looking.
It makes them really pop out, just like a little bit of purple and red.
Yep.
It's super, super good. It's tied in because we were talking last time, my Death Guard and my Chaos Engineer is going to be like purple armored. Mm-hmm. All my Poxwalkers have purple pants. And they're all very uniform in that. So in my kind of personal narrative in my head is that they are a cleaning crew or a maintenance crew for an Imperial outpost. And that's why they all were.
They were.
Well, they were, yeah, before they forgot to clean up one little spill. And then it turned into kind of giant plagues.
See, it's interesting that you do the same thing I do, which is you paint this narrative of how they are and why they are.
Yeah.
As you're going to explain it.
Because I'm like, why in the hell would 60 zombies be wearing identical clothing? But it would really bug me if they weren't. This is the thing, like looking at it from the tabletop perspective.
Yeah, I mean, so all of the GW paint schemes for them have them in bright orange jumpers. Or
right,
whatever.
Like prisons and things.
Like prison. So, well, I mean, in prison works, but I mean, for me, if I was going to be painting them, I think I would honestly paint them as Cadian color. So like Xandri Dust pants and the boots, with the grain like that. So stuff like that to tie them, to explain it as to why they are the way they are.
Yeah. So making my army list this like a couple weeks ago, and this is what I generally do, is I'll make one list. I'll get it all painted up and ready to go. And I'll adjust from there through playing games and kind of up and down it.
Did you show Danny the list before you started painting?
Sort of.
So you're not like, I painted all this stuff, and Danny's like, so here's the changes I'd make, and you just throw the list away.
Poxwalkers aren't as great as they used to be, but they're still So you can't sleep on them. They're still like, if buffed right, they're super good. So I have like Typhus and a Demon Prince, and then 3 squads of 20 Poxwalkers. I have 2 of the Blight Drones. With the
I love that model.
It's so good. Yeah, with the spewers. And then I have 3 of the Plague Burst Crawlers with the spewers and their mortar. And then I have a Nurgle Demon detachment with a Spoilpox Scrivener.
Yep.
A Pox Bearer, and a squad of 30 Plague Bearers with a Musician in the standard, and then 2 squads of 4 Nurglings.
Nurgling's still best troop choice, NA.
So for me, like my 2,000 part army is close to like 100 models. I think it's like 105, 110 models.
That's about your average, actually,
Which,
for you, John.
which I was talking to someone the other day, and I was talking about how I was going to play this, because I'm going to keep Typhus within 7 inches of my Pox walkers, so that they get buffed from him, and I need to keep my Plague Bearers within 6 inches of this guy, so it gets buffed from him. And our buddy Nate was like, you just got to make sure that you have everyone spaced out right. And then I look back at it, and I'm like, sort of how with my Eldar army, everything needed to be spaced out right because of buff auras. And then, like my Tyranids, everything needed to be spaced out right because of buff auras. And I think I average about 90 to 100 models in armies. So I'm like, okay, so there's a theme.
Yeah, you know what? You do what you like. That's your style that you like to play.
I like to overwhelm, especially when we're in kind of a meta where everyone's bringing, like, oh man, I got to plan a Castellan be in there. So I got to take an anti-tank thing. But my thing is a Castellan shoots at me. I lost 3 Poxwalkers.
Right. Yeah, see, that's the thing is, everybody's taking all this anti-Imperial Knight stuff, but if they just have the one knight, it can only do so much damage to foot troops.
And for me, like anti-horde as well, like my Plague Bearers are going to be -2 to hit. My Poxwalkers, one of those units is going to be like -1 to hit. So it's still going to be pretty durable. On top of that, I get a save against everything regardless. So
yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, so I'm just going to run everything across the table and, overwhelm as I tend to do. The last thing, because it was just a patrol of Nurgle demons to get that Poxbringer in there. But I added the Nurglings after watching our review of the Genestealer Cult Codex. And just having some kind of board control outside of my deployment zone. Yep. That way I can kind of dictate where the blips go a little bit, because otherwise what's going to happen is, especially when my army is so slow, like even buffed my to buff my Plague Bearers, they're moving max 11 inches a turn, 12 inches a turn. Poxbringers maximum 10 inches a turn.
Okay.
So if I am ever stopped for 1 turn, I need to get in combat as quickly as possible. I need to get up the table as quickly as possible. And if I lose that turn 1 where I can't move because of blips.
Yeah, you've got 1, 2, 3. You've got the 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, which is your shooting. Mm-hmm. And they're kind of good. They're like shock attack guns. They're either really good, or they're going to suck for you.
No, they're giant distractions.
Yeah.
That's all they are.
And then you've got the flyers. So you don't have, it looks like you've got a lot more melee than you're probably used to.
I have a ton more melee. I mean, it goes back to, because I played orcs before, like melee orcs, and like kind of figuring out the with the Eldar. When I played Eldar, that was shooting and kind of re-educating myself to stay away, and pull back.
Right.
But this army, like I said, is just going to be very simple of everything moves forward. Tie everything up in combat. Poxwalkers will start replenishing themselves. Plague Bearers will tie up a couple things for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully.
Hopefully that's the plan. And just doing my objectives and missions, like, is just, I will be there on the last turn. I will not die. Is the hope, is kind of where I'm at with that there.
So John, we've talked about this in the past.
Yes.
About our New Year, New Army.
New Year, New Army.
However, you have finished your army. It's supposed to be started in March.
I still have stuff to do. Like, I just
but the rest of us are basically almost starting from scratch.
Yeah. It's okay. I can add to it. I have plenty of stuff to paint and assemble.
Yeah.
I just want to have a good 2K list I can start playing and start adjusting from. So we're going to see how that goes.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to playing my actual custode list. Although this weekend, the way that I built this stupid list out, I'm actually kind of excited to play it just because it's dumb.
I'm excited to play against your custodies list. Like I said, I think it's a good mish of styles.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll do a recording for it or whatnot.
For sure, because you should, with your tanks, be able to mush through most of my stuff, even with a 5-up, feel no pain, depending on how quickly I can box you in.
Well, it's going to be very hard to box me in because fly. So,
yeah, that's
even with that many models, 14 inches still allows me to GTFO. you got to spread out pretty big to keep me actually trapped in.
And I can spread.
Bad.
But yeah,
Gross.
Yeah, that's about all I've been up to.
And then Danny, well, I was going to say, the only thing I know is that Danny's been building Gene Stealer Cult. And I think that's actually why he's sick.
So he can be at home building more Gene Stealer Cult.
No, I think he's actually become infected with the
cult. Second generation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a break. We're going to come right on back. Hey guys, this is one of those live adverts when we wanted to do a quick shout out to all of our Patreon sponsors who were nice and donate to the show to make sure that we can release this shit twice a month, every month. So thank you, Peter. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, David. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, John. And thank you, Josh. Thank you for your donations. They help Mob Rules be a thing, and it's your fault.
I thought we were going for take number 2 on it.
Oh, I mean, we could. Yeah. Thanks for keeping the lights running and all that other kind of stuff. Thank you for everyone who buys our merchandise on Threadless. Yeah. It really does help support this ridiculous thing that you're hearing.
And thank you very much for everything, to help us pay for the hosting fees. We were at $20 a month and we were basically running into our cap every month without
pretty much every month,
which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because that's, cap download, right? And cap
upload, yeah.
But I mean, it was one of those things where it was like, oh man, we got to up it.
And December was a tricky month for me.
Yeah. But we've enjoyed seriously just about every episode we've made.
Yeah.
At least that I've been a part of, going all the way back to 2 Augusts ago and a book review. I filled in for when Phil was gone after he moved to Savannah because he's like, I'm going to go get famous in the lower 48.
Yeah.
And then he did.
Yeah.
Successful jerk.
The Glacial Geek actually just signed up with Army Painter to be one of their spokes models, I'm going to say.
Yeah, spokes model.
So Deep Thoughts, Thin Coats. Phil's Wednesday weekly video, he's going to be using Army Painter supplies.
Which is awesome.
Which is a great spot for him.
It's what took me by surprise, though, was the fact that he signed up to do the bikini spread for him, where he's just wearing a bikini painted on using Army Painter paints.
No, Dave, we would talk positively more about Army Painter, but they don't send us stuff to make sure.
I would talk more positively about Army. Actually, I don't think we've ever said anything negative about
No, we
Army
haven't
Painter.
said anything negative about anyone.
I mean, that's not completely true. There's at least one website that we speak negatively about on a regular basis.
Yeah, click here to find out more.
Yep.
Speaking of which, Dave, Las Vegas.
Dude, please put a link right there that just when you click it, just opens to a dead hyperlink. It just says 404, you're an idiot.
Oh, that would be our entire website.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Dave, you and Danny took a trip down to Vegas for LVO. LVO has quickly become the largest tabletop wargaming convention on the West Coast.
Okay, so caveat for that.
Okay, for caveats.
No, for caveat for it, LVO has quickly becoming the largest GW-themed tournament convention on the West Coast. Adepticon is still actually bigger.
East Coast.
No, that's in Chicago, man. That's Midwest.
Yeah.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's like a 20-minute drive or something like that.
Central time.
I could take an Uber from LVO to...
You could not.
I could. I just got a huge check.
Dave.
I'd be stranded in Chicago.
But you'd be stranded in Chicago and you would have not.
What Uber driver is going to be like, I got this.
You're like, $3,000, please.
Yeah. And that, Four Loko, was brought to you by our Patreons.
Cigarette mist flavored.
So, but yeah, no, it's the largest DW one, and obviously it is. They had 800 some odd people buy tickets.
Yep.
And then when it was all said and done, I think there was something like 661 people who actually managed to make it to the event.
Still amazing.
Which we knew 4 people in Alaska who bought tickets who couldn't go.
Mm-hmm.
So just so many people interested in going and having a great time for it. So obviously it's the largest. That was the largest 40K event ever to take place. It was almost the largest. I want to say almost the largest Age of Sigmar event to ever take place.
It was pretty huge for Age of Sigmar
It was
as well.
very big. The Blood Bowl tournament. Okay, Blood Bowl takes place all over the place. You know, it's nobody's playing Blood Bowl in Vegas. And one of those guys. So the first time we went down there, and you went down,
Right, 2 years ago, yeah.
and I did the Blood Bowl tournament, finished 6th out of 36 or whatever, and caused like the most casualties ever in a tournament. Those guys knew I was going to be in Vegas because they follow the podcast.
Thank you.
And bought me a ticket to the Blood Bowl event.
Really?
So when I registered myself, they were like, "Oh, and also this ticket for Blood Bowl." I was like, "What the? Come on, man! You guys wasted money on this. I'm not doing it." Because I didn't bring the team because I was too busy packing all this other shit down
That's
with me.
so funny. Did they not provide you with a team?
No, they would have if I'd asked. But,
Yeah.
But I had painting classes and stuff I'd already scheduled up, so I needed to go do that instead.
Well, thank you for your generosity in buying Dave a ticket for Blood Bowl.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Next year, I still won't be doing it because it's during the champs, and I'm playing in the champs next year for sure. So,
Ooh.
but so leading up to us leaving for LBO.
Right.
Okay,
Smash cut to Anchorage Airport.
Day we're supposed to get on the plane.
Yes.
Okay, the night
Federal government still shut down.
right, the night before we get the package, I had to run around to get our jerseys that we had specially ordered. So we had matching jerseys for our doubles tournament because matching jerseys is worth 15 points. So we wanted those points because we wanted to do well.
Sure.
So we special ordered this awesome looking graphic on black hoodies, and we got the black hoodies. And the awesome looking graphic looked like, you know, when you wash a shirt that you've owned since the 70s every day since you bought it.
Well, I wasn't around in the 70s, but I follow your analogy. Sure.
It was washed out like that on a brand new hoodie.
Ooh.
You couldn't read the lettering. It was not gold like it was supposed to. It was supposed to be gold, red, and black.
Yeah.
It wasn't gold, red, and black. It was, I don't know what it was. And because where
Gold,
they
red,
placed
and
it,
crap.
yeah, where they placed it with the hood down, covered it up because it was so small.
Oh.
So we reached out to J&S up here.
Yeah, J&S, they do our team shirts up here as well. They do really good vinyl printing up in Anchorage.
Jewelry and stuff in the Diamond Center, right by the ice rink. If you want interesting decal stuff, guys.
Yeah.
We went over there and we talked to him and said, "Listen, we get on a plane in 7 hours. Can you take this design and put it on the front and the back?" She said, "Sure, no problem." And I went, "Wow." $15 later, we had better looking jerseys with our actual moose skull that Cody had designed, and Team AK and fancy font, and just looked awesome.
Yeah.
Got back home, got everything ready, packed up the board.
Packed up your toys, packed up your display board.
Oh, that display board was so hard to pack up. Do not travel with a 2 foot by 2 foot display board, gentlemen.
See, the way
And
you
ladies.
do it is you build it inside a suitcase, so it folds up.
I mean, that would have been smart, but like an idiot, I started it 5 days before we were leaving for Las Vegas. So, we sit down and that was wrapped in. We took both of us to pack it. I bought a foam bed topper.
Nice.
Which I needed also so I could actually transport the Custo jet bikes because, like an idiot, they're not magnetized. They're just fully built and painted.
Oh, yeah.
Because, smarts. So we wrapped the board in that. I held it down while Cody ran tape around it, and then I brought I may have borrowed some stuff from work, some shrink wrap.
Nice.
So I could palletize it, basically, and we shrink wrapped it.
How big was your goddamn display if you're palletizing it?
Well, we needed shrink wrap, so obviously we were palletizing it. We wrapped that up, and then we took. I had borrowed some cardboard slip sheets from work that were going to be thrown away anyway, or I'm sorry, recycled because we're thrifty and green up here in Alaska. And we cut it into a box shape and then wrapped it around it, and then shrink wrapped that and taped it up. And then then we headed out and got on a plane. Well, then I watched TSA open it. Because it was an oversized bag.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Hey, listen, I got to tell you, because I'm dumb, I left the batteries in the light box that's in there. Just so you know, when you scan it, you're going to see batteries and wires running to stuff. If you need to open it, please be sure to close it back up." And he said, "No problem." If we open it, we'll close it back up as good as it is right here.
No, this was during the federal government shutdown, so I'm sure all two of the TSA workers were very quick about that.
Yeah, it's super awesome. And then we went and met Danny, went into the first class lounge because we're baller, and none of us can ever afford to fly first class again, so it was a one-time thing. And then we headed down. Danny flew off to LA, and we flew off to Seattle, where we had no layover, which was awesome. Got on the next plane.
Nice.
Got down to Vegas. Got checked into picked everything up. We went and looked at the display board because I was like, I gotta check it out and see how bad it is. All they did was open one end of the box, look at it, and go, nope, fuck that, and close it back up.
Also, they were like, we're not getting paid. Fuck this.
Right, yeah.
Closed
They was
it
like,
back up.
never mind. So the display board made it down almost perfectly. One of the light poles snapped. Probably from, honestly, I don't really, maybe from when we wrapped it. But it broke the wire itself.
Oh, no.
So instead of 2 lights, we only had one on it, which was fine because really in a lit hall, you couldn't tell the light was on unless we pointed it out to you.
Those are always the best little mods you make to stuff. We're like, look at it. Look.
There were some people that actually noticed it. They're like, holy fuck, that's a working light on there. You actually have a working light on. That's amazing. I was like, oh, thank God you can see it. He's like, well, yeah, I had to get way down and inspect your sign.
Slow your roll. Yeah. Don't rub your own cock too hard.
I didn't notice it from across the room, but I could see it when I got up close. So it's like, all right, cool. So we sat down, we figured that out. Thursday was, so we got in Thursday morning. We got checked in, and then we took naps because we're old men.
Gotta rest up.
And we knew that the night was going to be exciting. We met up with Eric and Brandon and Danny, and we headed over for registration. We got registered, got everything done. Thought about going to the Ford World booth for a second, saw the giant line because they opened early, and then instead went and got in the line for the preview.
Oh, yeah, the Thursday night preview.
So the Thursday night preview, I have to say, guys, if you're going to a preview, and this is my soapbox moment here.
Oh, wait,
if you could do it for me, that'd be awesome.
Oh, I just realized the Patreon shout-out music is the same as my complaining music, but that's okay.
It's fine. They probably understand. All right. Now, we went to this awesome event that was a one session only. You know, they weren't going to be continually doing it. They just first come, first serve, stand in line, get in. We waited in line for 3 hours to get in because that's how long the line was getting ready to be.
Oh, sure.
With Adam Troke and the guy that is in charge, the head of 40K over there, who his name escapes me.
Pete Foley?
No, it wasn't Pete Foley. No, it's a younger guy who I didn't recognize.
Oh. We'll call him Stan.
Stan?
Stan.
Sounds good. And they did a great job. Now, here comes the soapbox. At the end of their presentation, they went into a Q&A period. If you go to a preview at Adepticon, and you are one of the assholes who immediately starts bitching about the beta codex for Sisters of Battle, I have given them authority to have somebody bigger than you slap you across the face with a fish. I was sitting there. So we're in a row. It's Danny, Eric, Brandon, me, Steve, and actually his name is Steve. I remember that much, who is one of the lead marketers from Twitch, or the guy that's tied to Twitch, super important Twitch thing, whatever, streaming service. And then Jeff in Control Robinson sitting next to me. And the three of us I had to stop Jeff 3 times. I don't even like Jeff that much. I had to stop him 3 times from getting up and telling people to shut the fuck up about their beta codex and how can we get this changed? This seems too weak for Sisters of Battle. We need this to be better. How about this for us and just me? If you go to this event and you get the thrill to be in there, because it's not that big a room, guys. Maybe there was like 60 of us in this room, so 60 people got to see this before it went out 45 minutes later to the internet and enjoy it, and the rest and 30 of you unwashed masses ruined the whole freaking thing for me. And I swear to God, if I find out who you are, I'm going to Jay and Silent Bob you. I'm going to go to each person's house and go, did you say this on this date? And then I'm just going to give you a giant wedgie. Anyway, so that's that. Oh, that's the end of my soapbox for that.
I mean, I understand the part of it where there's a lot of passion towards that army, and there's a lot of kind of passion about how things should be. I would be like a little more understanding of using that as a way to ask that question. But they already provided an outlet where they're like, hey, man, this is our beta codex. Please email us with questions, concerns, and rule changes. I like questions. I don't think there's ever going to be a case where people will go, well, we were going to do it this way, but then during the LVO open forum, Chad McBeard came up and said, hey, like, the fucking Pentium engine needs to be better, and so we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. All right. So we sit down for this, back to the beginning of the event. We get in, we get our seats, we sit down. Steve from Twitch slams into me sitting down because I think he and Jeff have been drinking.
Fair. Vegas, baby.
Yeah, Vegas. He sits down, he elbows me, and he's like, oh, sorry, man. I was like, no worries. Didn't know who he was. I see that Jeff Robinson's sitting there, and, I printed out our Jeff the Custode sticker specifically to give to him before we retired the image. This last print run of it.
Yes.
Image is fully retired. All those stickers are gone. You'll never see that one again.
Yep. Jeff died, so Jeff could live.
So that Jeff could live. He was reborn. And I said, hey, Jeff. And I stuck out my hand with a sticker in it, and he stuck out his hand back to shake it and said, hey, man, how's it going? I'm Jeff. And I said, I know who you are. I used your name. And then I slapped his hand away and said, I didn't come here to shake your hand. I came here to give you a sticker.
Dave's kind of a
Jeff
dick.
the Custode. I said, I came here to give you a sticker of this from Jeff the Custode. And the Steve guy starts laughing his ass off. And he said, hi, I'm Steve. And then he mentioned his title, and he was with Twitch. And he was like, that is the funniest thing I've seen all day. I said, cool. You also can have some stickers. And then we started watching the previews, and the lights go out, and Adam Troke starts talking. And I don't know if you're familiar with Adam Troke's voice, but I believe he is currently rated. If there was a yearbook thing at GW that every year would come out, he would be most likely voted to be most likely the sexiest man alive at GW every year round just by his voice.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a deep bass.
Dave getting uncomfortable boners at the presentation.
I've got a Troke boner. I'm not gonna lie. I make no bones about it either. When
in
I'm
a
there
world where the Black Legion came back.
Oh no, he puts that voice to shame.
It's because my voice is awful.
Yeah, well, I mean, but yeah, no, they did this preview and they start talking about stuff, and we're all watching it. We're just like, oh Jesus! Everybody's masturbating in the corner because it's amazing. I mean, like you do when you see new stuff for the first time. Mm-hmm. My favorite part after that, we see everything, and it's like, oh, no new Abaddon model, I guess. And he's like, oh, we got one more thing, and they play it. It's a Primaris Lieutenant, and I was like, all right. I jumped up and went, yeah!
Like the only person in that room.
Yeah, I was so stoked. I was like, yes! Primaris
20
Lieutenant.
people backing off from the microphone like they can't give Sisters of Battle good rules, but they can make more Primaris Lieutenants.
Yeah. And then they showed Abaddon standing on a Primaris Lieutenant, which made everybody giggle. Because new GW is awesome.
It was really well done.
Yeah.
I dislike having complicated bases to paint, but hey,
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I dislike having to paint complicated bases. It's that I prefer to be able to model my bases completely myself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it is what it is. So Abaddon you'll be able to do whatever you want with him, not have to use the Primaris Lieutenant
I'm
model.
excited. Yeah. He looks great so far from the released images.
So we go into the Q&A, and a bunch of neckbeard descent start bitching about their codex and reeing on everything.
Why is the Catadist not a 2-up save?
I believe my hand flamer should be available to every model in the unit, and also strength 100 and also range 100.
Excuse me, sir. You run GW. Why do my dice not roll better?
Yeah. Are you planning on releasing Death Guard style dice for the Sisters of Battle that only roll 5s and 6s?
God, no. Those dice are fucking awful. Don't get me wrong. They're super cool, but if I have to stare at a dice for 2 minutes to figure out what the hell it says...
We start, the questions are going, they're flying, people are asking the right stuff. They're asking about Warcry, the new skirmish.
Yep, the new
Kill Team Age of Sigmar
Kill
game,
Team meets
roughly.
Shadespire in Age of Sigmar. Looks really good.
I don't think it meets Shadespire.
I think the description said it was part Kill Team, part Shadespire.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll wait. I'm reserving judgment on it. People are asking a question, and then Adam Troke signals Danny out. and Danny asks a question.
Danny asked the question.
He asked, I wish he was here so he could tell you what it was. The response from the 40K guy and Adam Troke was, "That is an amazing question. Thank you." And then they gave an answer for it, and I don't remember what it was. At that point, you just see Danny sit there. I think Danny glazed over when they said it's an amazing question. I don't think he heard the answer, to be honest.
Because he was just so happy.
He was just like,
maybe Adam Troke was just so happy to not have to hear about feedback. Why is the Castellan not more points?
They literally, like, their eyes lit up. It was like a kid opening that Xbox for the first time when Xbox had been released at Christmas. They were like, "Oh, thank God, not socks again." And it was great, and we had a good time. I met Adam Troke. I shook his hand, and I explained who I was, and then security took me away because I stalk him online. Gave him some stickers and had a little conversation.
What
with
is
him.
a podcast?
Yeah, no, I didn't mention I was at the podcast. I just used my Twitch handle.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then I mentioned I was with the podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, please promote the podcast.
Gave him some stickers. I met up with Martin, who I met while I was in Warhammer World.
Yep.
And said hi to him, had a drink with him, and gave him some of our dice and some new stickers. And basically anybody I ran into got stickers.
Basically a sticker pimp.
I was. By the way, I'm out of stickers, John. I gave away all 50 that I had of the Mob Rule stickers.
Amazing.
I gave away most of the farmer logo one that I made.
Nice.
And the rest I have, a couple I'm going to give back to you, so you have some. And surprisingly, #Dave sucks, not as popular.
Not as really.
Yep. I mean, there were a couple people that wanted it. Kyle, one of our listeners, he got one. Everyone that we beat in a tournament got one. So when we played, but yeah. So that was Thursday. We went out and had a couple drinks. Had the best chicken I've ever eaten in my life at Blue Ribbon Chicken. Danny had been talking about this chicken place for like 6 months. And I'm like, all right, listen,
the
Danny,
entire reason for going to Vegas was
right.
this chicken place.
So when we were there, the chicken place wasn't there. You remember the spot where we hung out that first night that we were all there, and then Ted met the homeless guy and wanted to get a tour of the sewers and stuff.
Yeah, I do remember that.
The chicken place hadn't been built yet, John. It was literally that corner
where
we
really?
were hanging out that whole time. Yeah.
I just want to say, by the way, get ready to play Warhammer Age of Sigmar if you've never seen it before, in a new game that draws on some of the best bits of Warhammer Underworlds and Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team. Warhammer Warcry. Coming soon.
I hope it doesn't rely too much on cards. I think that's the thing that is detrimental to a lot of people.
I think board and set team is super good. But anyway, you were saying, Blue Ribbon Chicken.
Blue Ribbon Chicken, amazing. Then we went out for drinks and crashed out because we all had stuff to do the next morning. They got ready for their tournament. We got ready for our painting class. Went off to our painting class with Chris Peach. Had a good class. Went over and bought some stuff at Forge World for Nate because I'm a Forge World pimp, apparently.
Yeah, they were like, is there a Forge World stand? Buy me stuff.
Right. So I did. And then we toured around. We got a bunch of pictures. I tried to take some video of stuff that was going on, but apparently I'm an idiot and can't record stuff to save my ass. Like I recorded a video interview with Danny before the tournament started. Like, Danny, this is game 1 here. How are you thinking? You feeling good? You ready to rock it? Just that got deleted. I don't know where it went. The Ethernet. I suck at this. Mostly I was just so excited to be there. And I didn't post a bunch of pictures. So I have the Legion of Dave model.
Yes.
And I travel around with it when I go places so they can go everywhere because that's what I do for the Twitter followers that also have the Legion of Dave model.
Yeah, and so a little background if you're new to the show here is there is a bunch of people called Dave on Twitter that came.
Oh, they're not even called Dave anymore. It started off
I hate that you've lost your integrity to this group.
Right? It's fine. There's a woman, Heretic Deb, who paints Ahriman. She loves Ahriman. Mm-hmm. She has like 6 of them. She entered a Golden Demon entry with a bunch of Ahrimans in a rock band.
I saw that one with like the different lights on the stage. Yeah,
that was her, and she was introducing somebody new to Twitter, like, hey, be say, this is so and so. She paints models. She also does art. She's pretty cool. Whatever, friend of hers from real life. And somebody said, yep. Just got to watch out for those legions of Daves. And there was 3 of us that responded like, Legion of, you mean us? Are we that bad on Twitter? I think we're pretty good.
It's like a Twitter gang.
Yeah, we're like, we're the Legion of Dave. And it turned into this whole thing where we designed the color scheme for Legion of Dave. And at this point, 30 people have painted a model in this hot blue, neon pink Space Marine 2nd Legion. the Lost Second Legion.
As old Dave should be.
He's made himself into some very famous places at this point. Mine made it into Duncan's painting studio where they record the painting videos on the table.
No, what's important to realize is that, Dave, you very disappointedly did not make it into Duncan's painting studio.
I did not. He was carried in there by a Warhammer World staff for me, and a picture was taken. One of the other guys managed to actually get somebody from the exhibit after hours to put him in the Space Marine Legion chapters.
Really?
And there was a picture taken there like that. Just fun stuff where he traveled around. So I took him with me to Vegas. Day 2, after Danny did his stuff, and because we did one painting class, it was fine. It was
Painting a Space Marine,
kind of worthless for me, to be honest. I knew it going in. Painting power armor, yada yada yada, whatever. It was one of those things where I knew I was just doing it for Cody.
Sure. It's kind of good to just kind of like reassert yourself in the basics as well.
Yeah, and it was nice to be in that class and just kind of see some stuff. Cody, however, didn't learn anything in this class. He was already past it. So we were like, well, that was...
You got a free little Marine out of it, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
A little bit of waste. And then, we went and did all sorts of fun stuff. We headed over to Fremont because he'd never been to Vegas, and I took him to a restaurant. We went to the Pinball Hall of Fame. We just did Vegas touristy stuff for us. Meanwhile, the rest of the guys are going. And we were purposely not looking at the scoring because we didn't want to jinx anybody by accident.
Sure.
Because we're superstitious. I mean, let's be honest. We are. Let's see. Eric went 2-1, right? He lost his third game. Danny lost his first game, right?
Right.
But
Eric ironically lost his third game to the person Danny lost his first game to.
Oh, and I think it was later, wasn't it? I think Danny lost it to him. No, you're right. It was his first game.
Yeah.
The team captain, or no, not team captain, but a member of the European championship team for the ETC. Whatever it is.
Super good player.
Yeah, and super nice guy from what I understand, but they still lost. Saturday was more of the same for us. We had a painting class where it was just really awesome. And because I had forgotten to get a picture with Chris Beach the first time with Legion of Dave, I got a picture with Chris Beach the second time. Then we went and found some other famous people, like Nick Nanavati. I saw him and had him take a picture with Legion of Dave. Mm-hmm. And then, to be funny, I had our buddy Ari take a picture of Legion of Dave. And those of you that saw the post online was only the most famous and best people get to hold the Legion of Dave model, So Chris Peach, Nick Nanavati, Eric Rickards. It's funny to me. Makes sense. Terrible things befell everybody who held the Legion of Dave model, and I feel terrible for it. They ran out of tea, so Chris could not drink any more tea. From what I understand, Nick Nanavati, who was undefeated at that point in time, lost his very next game to Alex Harrison, who finished second in the tournament overall. And Eric Rickards lost in the worst beatdown of his life next. And I was like, well, I guess that's just bad. So
just adding the spooky background for Legion of Dave.
It was terrible. I pulled him out too many times. I whipped out my Dave too many times, and it cursed some people. So it is what it is. And then Saturday night, because nobody was playing anymore, we went to a different podcast, the Best Infection podcast meetup.
Oh, nice.
I did some networking there for us, actually.
Ooh, look at you.
Moderately. Gave out some stickers, gave out a bunch of dice. Met up with just a bunch of people like Forge the Narrative, War Master Paul.
Nice.
Paul Murphy.
Yeah.
Talked to him a couple times. Gave him some dice. I didn't actually give him dice until Sunday.
I think what we're hearing here is if you see Dave in public and he doesn't give you a sticker and a dice, then he is failing at his job, because that's pretty much what you're known for now.
We did meet up with some fans who actually recognized us on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
One of those days.
No, Thursday night before the tournament started. We were out eating our chicken. And we see some people, man and a woman, come around the corner, and the guy stops. My thought is, yeah, he sees the chicken. It is that good. I was about to be like, it is that good, dude. Go inside and get some chicken. It's great. He was like, hey, you guys are Mob Rules, right? And Danny almost choked on his chicken. because he was eating it, whereas I had stopped to
Sure.
offer advice to this guy about the chicken. You should go get the chicken.
Right.
And we met, and unfortunately I can't remember his name right now, but I followed him. He followed me on Twitter. I followed him back so I could track his stuff. And his wife was playing in the night fight event.
Oh, nice.
The next night with her Stampa. So I gave her 2 dice to use for that.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I guess they just decided, Friday is so long.
Oh, dude, it's a slog the whole weekend.
The night fight, it's basically the same thing with me and Cody. We just said, we're not going to try to do that either. So, I guess she backed out. She didn't do it. He did not have a very good tournament from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But, it is what it is. And when you have 600 and some odd people, that's a rough tournament to,
Oh, yeah.
So, great. It was great to meet those guys. Awesome. It's the first time I've been recognized, obviously. Because, I've been to Warhammer World where we're not famous.
No,
so.
no.
So-
We have no rights to be any kind of recognizable.
Nope. But yeah, no, it was great. And Sunday rolls around. We are up. We are ready. We get over to the tournament. We've got our display board. We're refreshed. We haven't had entirely too much to drink the night before because we're smart.
That's right.
And
It's game time.
We purposely didn't because we wanted to do well. We set up our stuff against our first game. I'm looking at the army across from me, and we played our first game against Team Nurgle Hugs.
Love it.
They had stickers, or not stickers, just a little piece of paper printouts that was just a Nurgling with arms wide, standing in a pile of goo that was just like Nurgle Hugs. And of course, they were huggers naturally, so we all hugged at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
We were
That would have bothered me immensely. I do not like to be hugged.
That's all right. You know what? It's one of those things where it's like, we're good. We're having a fun tournament. It's supposed to be all fun, and we're having a blast. They had a decent looking army. And when I say decent looking, I mean most of the models were used in the LVO championship games the day before because they smartly multitasked.
So there were at least 3 color minimum.
Yeah. But they had Mortarion and a Castellan.
Oh, boy.
So in my head, I'm like, well, this not great for us, but whatever. We're not here to go 3-0. We're here to get a bunch of points in painting and thematics, which we knocked out of the park. Like we had a fancy roster that was printed on a Cody had designed to look like the screen from an Apple II computer.
Oh, nice.
With the text, because I wrote a 2-page piece of fluff as to why our army exists and why the Rusty 17 and these other units exist. It's cohesively based off of what was happening around Vigilis and a bunch of other stuff that Cody printed out on fancy parchment paper stuff, or he designed and we printed out at Kinko's the day we left for just to have all this fancy stuff and the stickers and the dice and everything's tied together. We've knocked it out of the park. We played these guys till round 4. Now, at the same time, the first round of the last day of the championships is taking place. Warhammer TV is filming literally 15 feet from where we are playing our game. If you go back and have a subscription on that and watch that game, you can hear the 4 of us whooping and hollering and cheering as we played one of the funnest games I've ever played at 40K, where we lost, not by much. We actually played very well considering we were outmatched.
Oh, sure.
Against these guys, and just had a blast. Like Cody's rolling saves and they're cheering. Their Castellan is making saves against stuff, and we're cheering like, oh, okay, it's 6-up against this one guy's shot. This Hellblaster. And it's like, oh, it's just I can't. I'm gonna lose the Castellan if he doesn't make the save. We're all 4 of us are high fiving. It's just. I want to say the final score on that was 17-15. We stopped playing at round 4.
Right.
The tournament that round was actually not over. Our battle round 4, we stopped.
Mm-hmm.
We looked at each other. I looked at the 2 of them and I said, listen, do you guys want to just tally this up? And they said, yeah, you know how it's going to go? I said, yeah, I can map out exactly how it's going to go from here. And Cody's looking at me like, I don't know what's happening. And I said, I'm going to explain it. Don't worry about it. Cody had managed to, they'd placed some Nurglings in a building that they couldn't get out of because swarms can't go through walls.
No.
It was one of the small huts on the scenery that you have. We played on that same set that you have. and that John has, I guess, from Frontline
For
Gaming.
Frontline, the field base alpha, or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
So they'd set up in that, so we killed them, then we got in it. And they didn't have anything else that could get in it, so they couldn't shoot it. We were holding an objective. I had some more guys they couldn't have gotten to the objectives. So we basically, we just mapped out what the final tally of points would be.
Sure, yeah.
Knowing that they couldn't kill anymore, because where we were, they couldn't shoot us, they had to charge us. Mortarian couldn't charge us. We killed everything that could charge us. It was like, you want to just map this out? Yeah. So we mapped it out, and so it was, like a 2-point loss for us, which is fine. Considering what we had to go against that list, You're
not really optimized to go against 2 super heavies like that.
No, we were
2 extremely resilient super heavies.
Yeah. We were very well balanced, and it showed for our next games. But that particular list just didn't do very well. So we played that. We lost. Had a good time. Went and had a beer with them. Came back for our next game.
That's always the important thing, is the post-game beer.
Yeah. I mean, it is. Sometimes it's during game beers, as the next round will show. So game 2, we sit down against these guys who are representing War Room Games, which is a Las Vegas-based game shop down there. And these guys were also awesome, but not at first, because they had suffered a terrible defeat.
Oh, did they just get fucked over?
They lost by like 1 point against 4 Renegade Knights.
Ooh.
That weren't even fully painted. They were just they were literally to the barest minimum. The guy I had actually spoke to him about his knights, about his list, because he also runs a website, and offered to do some promotions for us, and then promptly forgot to get his information. So if by chance you happen to remember and listen to this episode, they lost. So they were surly looking.
Oh, for sure.
I was like, oh shit, this is not going to be a good game, Cody. And he's like, what are you talking about, dude? That last game we just played was amazing. I said, yeah, look at these 2 guys. He goes, so it's not going to be good, huh? I was like, nope. So we start deploying. They start deploying. They were running a almost mirror match of what I had. Mm-hmm. They had 6 bikes, a jet bike captain, 3 troops, and a banner bearer. All custodes. So they didn't have the 17, but similar list to my custodes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And the other guy was running Eisenhorn and another Inquisitor and a bunch of assassins.
Good for him.
Pretty much everything that you expect in an inquisitorial retinue. And I thought, you know what? I like your list. I hate it from a play standpoint, but you know what? I like your thematic part of your list. It's very well done. It's nicely balanced. And so we set up, we start playing, and he starts charging Eversource. Eversource is the one that explode, right?
Oh, yes.
So starts charging Eversource into aggressors. Mm-hmm. That's a bad time.
Right. They can't eat that Overwatch.
Nope.
You need at least like a 5-man squad to eat
So
that
one of the
Overwatch.
reasons we bought 200 dice was because we thought people might try to charge the aggressors that hadn't moved. Mm-hmm. So Cody got to roll a bucket full of dice twice, killing 2 Eversource, which exploded in the middle of their own stuff.
Oh, Jesus.
And it was a tough game. I'm really proud of my jet bikes out jet biking his jet bikes.
Oh, man.
That's
I don't even know how to interpret that.
Yeah. So it's 6-man jet bike squad on a 6-man jet bike squad. He moved up and shot at me, and I managed to make all my saves. And because he'd moved up his 14, I moved up my 14 and was now 6 inches away from him for a charge. Shot the bejesus out of him rapid fire and charged him and wiped out the entire bike squad with mine, losing 0. It was I was like, oh, I out jet biked somebody. Nice. Meanwhile, we had secondaries for killing characters. Assassins are characters, so we were just picking stuff off.
Yeah, you can max out that real easy.
They took character killing as well, Headhunter. Mm-hmm. We hit all our characters so that his assassins couldn't get him. Eisenhorn stayed heroically at the back of the map the entire time.
Just pointing out things.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great game. We only got to round 2 because there were so many individual characters. They were deploying one at a time. There were guys down, and we were like, no, man, we're done. You guys, you can just, they would stop and go, it's your go. We were waiting for you. I was like, no, we're done. We're done. You've got like 100
18,000,
drops.
and it doesn't help that like you have units that shoot like literally 30,000 shots as well.
Yeah. So I mean, we ended up beating them. Right close to the end of the game, one of the two guys was like, "Hey, can we make a bet?" And I said, "Okay, sure. What do you want?" They said, "Well, I mean, it's kind of close right now." And in my head, I'm like, oh,
No, it's
it's
not.
not
Yeah.
even remotely close right now.
But outwardly, you're like, uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what do you want to bet? He said, if we win, you buy us a beer. But if you guys win, I'll give you a shot of this fancy whiskey. And he pulled out Gentleman Jack, or not Gentleman Jack, Johnny Walker Black Label.
Ooh, that is a fancy
And I was
whiskey.
like- I
Also
said-
not allowed in the event hall, so good on him.
See, I don't. Yeah, he got it in there.
No, good for him, yeah.
He was just. I was like,
See,
"Oh,
what I
yeah,
did when I
we'll
went to
play it."
LVO is I looked at what brand of beers they were selling, and I
Smart.
I smuggled those bottles in from outside.
Yeah, that's actually what I told him was this. When we finish this game, we're gonna have like a 1 hour break. If we lose to you, I'm not buying you anything from in here. We'll take an Uber over across the street to the liquor store.
it
We'll
will
walk
be
across
still
to the
be
liquor
cheaper.
store, and I will buy an entire bottle for us to share for the same amount as one shot. So, it was good. We ended up winning. We'd had our judging done in between these rounds for our paint scheme and everything else, and luckily we drew Rob Bear as our judge.
Ooh, the guy I accidentally
believe-
rip on every episode?
I believe he's of Spiky Bits fame.
I believe so. If there was a way I could find out more. Is Rob Bear in charge of Spiky Bits? Question mark?
Could be. Aspiring overlords want to know. I actually, and I met Rob and I talked to him for a while. He actually seems like a really nice guy. I'm sorry that it's come down to such a thing as so clickbait.
I'm sorry that it's just, to me right now, I've never met him. He's a meme to me at this point.
The thing is he's actually not responsible for most of the content anymore.
Really?
It's the other guys that we're judging, and we get to the end of this. I have one beef for this tournament.
Okay.
Actually,
Beef.
I have
for it.
two beefs. It's beeves.
Beeves.
But I'll finish my games first because
Okay.
I really we played 3 really fun games, and these guys that we played, it was a fun game. It came down to, well, just we won. It
Came down to winning.
it wasn't as close as I thought it was going to be. He poured us what can be best described as a red Solo cup shot of whiskey from the bottle.
It's Scottish short.
Yeah. I'm gonna get here's $1 for my beer from the keg kind of shot of whiskey. And of course one of our listeners, Kyle, found us that day. We'd been trying to meet up with him and just missing each other. He showed up with the biggest beer I've ever seen in my life in a can. I've seen a lot of big beers, 40s, you get it, whatever, but this was just the biggest can I've ever seen. Like, it would have made Foster's be like, shit, that's a big beer,
Thank you, Cal, for keeping Dave liquored.
And it was the best. And I guess he'd given one to Danny the day before, and Danny was like just having a bad day and drank that beer, like slugged the entire thing down. And I was like, oh, he brought you a beer. That's cool. You got a beer. I'm not knowing the size of it. When I saw it, I was like, Danny slugged this whole fucking thing down?
Danny had a really bad day.
Jesus Christ. And it was delicious and it was awesome. And I was very, very tipsy after that because I had just recently had a giant shot of whiskey. So we report our scores. We're 1-1. We move on to our next game, and it's against Team Havasu from Lake Havasu, Arizona.
Oh, nice.
And I was writing down the name, and he's like, so I said, so what's your name? He said, Team Havasu. I said, okay. I started spelling it out. And he's like, it's H-A. And I was like, oh, I got it, dude. I have family that lives in Arizona. I know how to spell Havasu. We're fine. These guys had never played an ITC event before. They were Garage Hammer people who
Nice.
came to this event with very nicely painted armies. Not very thematic in the sense of that Khorne usually doesn't ally with Tau.
Yeah.
But whatever. That was for me just my nitpicky lore. It'd be like if somebody was like, I got Blood Angels and Necrons. I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. I'll slap you across the face. But very, very well painted. Both of them. The Khorne army was just basically everything that I'd been talking about running only shrunk down to like 1,000 points. You know, because we talked about
Sure,
I
a bunch of bloodletters, berserkers, things like that, right?
Yeah, and that's what he had, and I was like, oh, you have the army that I want. It's painted delightfully. And then the Tau guy had, you know, basically Lee's list shrunk down, halved.
Yeah,
you know,
just a bunch of fire warrior, like very heavy foot troops, right?
and some N3 battle suits, whatever they are. They're not the crisis suits, but
the broadsides.
yeah, broadsides.
Yeah.
So I thought it might be a tough game for us until they explained that they were not ITC savvy. So I shifted into.
It's such a unique way to play.
It is,
right?
And it's very fun. Actually, I don't think I can go back.
Shifting from kind of a player to a coach, or kind of being able to kind of make that transition, because it goes back to kind of something we said all along, is like it takes two sides to make this a fun game. And like you have people who pull up against Garage Hammer players and be like, oh, I don't really play ITC. Like, I'm gonna fucking crush you,
Right.
and then just that's a miserable game because it's over quickly.
Yeah.
They don't have any fun. If you get some sense of perverse satisfaction from doing it, maybe, sure. But it's really against the spirit. So kind of it just adjusts the way you focus on the game, where you're not looking so much at how can I decimate this person, but it's like, how can I help facilitate a fun game?
Right. How can I help this? So before the games, as the game was started and we're picking secondaries, I was explaining to them the secondaries better than anybody else had, apparently. Because at this point they were 0-2.
Sure.
You know, the way that the pairings worked was literally just random. There was no top is going to go against top. You know, it was just, what's your name? Okay, you guys are playing against each other. And so I was explaining secondaries and suggesting secondaries that would be more beneficial for them against us than, you know, if they just picked them in like, hey, so against this is what we have. This is where you can score the most points, and here. And they said, okay. And they picked two of the ones that I suggested, and then they also took Kingslayer, right? Kingslayer
yeah.
is the one where you pick a character. If it's your warlord, you get an extra bonus point or something like that as well.
Sort of like how many wounds you do off against him as well, right?
Right. It's 2 for every 2 wounds you score a point against him.
It's not great against you.
He took it on my Alaris Terminator. Now I said, all right, that's not the best, but I mean, you can technically score 4 points on it, so you got it. So we start the game and we're playing. The corn guy fails some charges, which does not go well for him when you're charging custo jet bikes with deep striking demon princes.
Yeah, those don't go together well.
So his stuff got, you know, kind of wiped out. The custodes swept across the table and started tearing into the Tau. I played very technically, is the best way to describe it.
Technically perfect.
And explain what I was doing at the same time and why I was doing it, why I was charging this unit and then moving into this unit as well because I was within 1 inch of it and just locking them in combat and, you know, doing all the stuff that you do for technical play.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the corn guy was charging across the table at Cody and he was just firing pot shots at him. He had a rhino with berserkers in it, and he said, well, I advanced so I can't shoot. And I was like, oh, man, that's a good-looking Defiler model you have right behind there. It'd be awesome if he had, like, smoke popping out of his...
Or, like, some gun where you could shoot with -1.
Like, coming out of his exhaust, and he's, like, popping... Yeah, it would be awesome if I could pop smoke. Oh, I popped smoke with the Rhino. I was like... He's like, thanks, man. I was like, yeah, no problem. Cody's like, what did you just do? Because Cody's not familiar with Rhinos.
Yeah.
And vehicles in general, because he's running all Death Guard... or Death Watch with no vehicles.
Death something.
And so he popped smoke. And I explained what pop smoke was to Cody as well. And the guy was like, thanks, man. That was really nice of you. He was like, yeah, I'm going to be honest. I wasn't going to tell you literally to pop smoke with that Rhino, but I figured if I gave you a hint, you might pick up on it. Because otherwise, Hellblaster squads 2 and 2 over here and combat squad nature are going to light you up.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, because they popped smoke, it was -1 to hit, so Cody couldn't overcharge without danger of blowing up his guys. He gets into combat. We deep strike round 2. Cody's smash captain, and he teleports the entire unit of aggressors and guys to the back line and just starts decimating stuff. The Defiler turns around and goes after him and multi-charges the smash captain and the aggressor unit. I was like, oh, dude.
Ballsy.
Okay, gonna give it to you.
It could work.
Gonna let you do whatever you want. Meanwhile, the jet bikes had been finished off. The Tau had finally killed the jet bikes off, but not before all the broadsides were dead.
Which is very important because they're nasty.
And all of those goddamn shield drones.
Always shoot the drones first, regardless of what else is in the army.
So we're coming to the end of turn 2. And because we've been doing a teaching game, this has been going very slowly. We have 10 minutes left. We need to finish we went second in this one, so we need to finish our turn up, and we're trying to go as fast as possible. And Kenny Boucher, the TO, is like, hey, 10 minutes, split the time evenly, have one more turn if you can, just do the best. I was like, there's not enough time to get another turn in. I got to ask you, Kenny, I have not brought my Alaris Terminator Captain in yet because they took Kingslayer on him. So I didn't want him on the board getting shot.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny, I don't know if this is actually the actual ITC ruling, but Kenny ruled that if he doesn't come in,
he's dead,
and they get full points. And I said, okay. So they picked a terrible secondary against the guy.
You managed to maximize.
And I managed to maximize for them because I'm an idiot. We ended up winning the game fairly. I mean, it was fairly handily. It just
sure.
We maxed out all of our secondaries, which it is what it is. They were learning. Afterwards, they had we shared a beer with them and had a great time. Kyle came over again and gave me another beer. Turns out Kyle knew those guys because Kyle's also from Arizona.
Oh, nice.
And they were friends. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. We all drank another beer. Our buddy Kevin Mackey, who was not supposed to be an LBO, showed up.
Random Alaska person drove by.
He walked up and slapped me on the shoulder in mid-game. And I was like, who in the fuck thinks this is? And I turned around and see Mackey. And I was like, what the hell are you doing here?
By the way, if you see Dave in public at any event, go up and slap him on the shoulder. That's the only way he'll give you stickers or dice.
Yeah, totally. That or just asking nicely is an option, I guess.
No, just slapping the shoulder.
Slapping it is. But Cody showed him his models, and Kevin was like, I fucking hate you. This is your first army you've ever painted?
Just did that, the nice fuck you reaction.
Yeah. He's like, that's awesome. This stuff looks great. Good for you. The Ace Ventura. Oh, or not the Christian Bale. Oh, good for you. So good. And we finished the tournament. So we finished 2-1. Felt pretty good about it.
Pretty good, yeah.
Rob was, when we were sitting there, Rob was checking off all the painting score stuff that we thought we could get, with the exception of cosplay, because only one team came in cosplay. Because
it was added like a week beforehand.
And they were also playing catechins, so I don't know if you know this or not, but if you wear a camo shirt and a red headband, you're in cosplay. and you know what? Don't get me wrong. I'm just jealous because
I don't know. I think with my Poxwalkers, I could get cosplay pretty easily too. Just don't shower and show up in gym shorts.
Buy a pair of overalls, paint them purple. Just wear one strap over and the other strap out, no shirt. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. I mean, it was great. They fit it to their army, so perfect. Good for them. Not sassy about that in the slightest. It was, that was smart. We sit down, the tournament ends, everybody turns in their scoring. We're all sitting there waiting, and the judges leave.
What?
So
you got to find out more later. Click here.
So I did find out more later, and I did actually click there.
Yeah. Fucking clickbait, man.
There was no talk of anything, nothing at all. The rest, we were just sitting there going, "Well, who won? What's happened? What's the scores? Where are our painting scores? Where anything like that?" And then they started the end of LVO award ceremony, and they're going through stuff and rattling stuff off, and we're like, "Well, shit, I gotta sit here, I guess, and wait to see what happened," because at this point, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm like, I could easily be, top 5, and I'd like to know. I've clicked, show me. And then they named off the winner, and that was the end of it. There was nothing else. And those guys, literally, I've never seen people pack up and leave an event so fast in my life. Like, they were just, they were like, okay, final scores are inputted. Slapped the laptop closed, put it under the arm, and walked out.
Well, shit, man. Yeah, they have articles to misinterpret.
Right. So they had to bounce and drive home. There was something. One of the guys had a problem at home and he needed to get home. So since they all rode together in a big caravan,
they all had to go. Yeah.
Yeah. They just packed up and left as soon as they could. As soon as they gave Reese the title. So I immediately went on and was like, "Hey, so where can we find our scores? Maybe."
Please tell me spikybits.com.
No, Kenny's like, "Hey man, somebody had an emergency at home. We had to bounce. I'll get them up as soon as I can." And then they did Saturday.
That's pretty good.
Last Saturday.
Yeah.
I am happy to say that we placed 16th out of 126 teams.
Ooh. I tried to do a drum roll. It wasn't very good.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually really happy with it. I think
Top 10% ish.
it was
top-
no, it was 13.
Top 14%.
It was top yeah, it was like 13.5 or something like that. Top within the top 15%, and I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, no, it's super good.
Really wish I could see the actual score sheets that Rob scored out, so I could figure out where
to improve next year and
well, I'm not
things
going
like
to play
that.
it next year.
Or I guess just where to improve.
And well, just in general, I just kind of want to know. So my gripes are there was no communication at the end of it. It just ended, and then nobody knew who won until they announced a winner.
Right.
Until Reese was like, and the winner was Team Chaos or whatever, and the Team Chaos guys were like, what? There's no communication, and then they bounced. Also, the scoring for painting seemed to be uneven across the board.
Okay.
I feel like Rob had an idea in his head of how he wanted the scoring to go, and so if he scored you, it was very, very tight.
Like very
Very specific tight.
pernickety.
Yeah. Like if you missed X, you weren't getting this point at all. You know, like if you got 99% of your models have X, but 1% doesn't, fuck it. You don't get it. You don't get those 5 points. So we scored for our painting on the actual painting score out of the 126. We were actually 5th.
That's pretty good.
But the Nurgle team that beat us in the first round that had tabletop plus models
For sure.
had 1 point more than us in painting score
Really?
and theme. Now, they didn't have a display board. They had team uniforms, but that's because they're part of a team in the lower 48. So they were just wearing their team jerseys from that. You know what I mean? And these were great guys. I don't wish anything ill upon them at all.
Just shittier painting scores for them.
And one of their guys, like their Mortarian, was painted by a professional commission painter, so it kind of hurt me a little bit.
Oh, okay. So yeah, what happened was they had one or two really good pieces that stood out and drew the eye.
And then
It's the same way I paint. It's the same way I paint an entire army, like my Nurgle stuff here. I'm planning on doing taking my time on the Plague Burst crawlers and making them look really good, and then everything else is just going to be real basic washes.
Yeah, it meets the requirements. It looks good on the table.
Draw the eye.
3 feet away, man. That's the rule. I mean, my custodes were good from 6 inches away, so it was one of those. Oh. And Cody's guys were actually really good.
Yeah.
For a first-time army, I have to give him serious credit and props because he really put a lot of hard work into it and making them look good. And I only did one guy to a base, to get him caught up because I'm faster than him. And then I painted. So we had some decal issues on the knees. I used some Dark Angel veteran models decals so that we could squad the knees.
Yeah.
So they were all numbered. And apparently they had decided that they no longer worked, so they were falling off.
Oh no.
And trying to come off as we were dry brushing dirt onto the legs, so that because we're trudging through the desert. Towards Vegas was a theme. So I hand painted the numbers on a bunch of them. Last minute Saturday before we started getting drunk.
Because just to get that squad
to get it finished, because we wanted them all to look the same. So we have squad markings on everything. We have sergeants are notably different. We had conversions. We had all these things that tied in. So I'd really like to see the sheet that Rob scored.
Right, just see kind of the differences.
So we know instead of just knowing. Well, yeah, it'd be nice to see everybody else's.
Conspiracy theories. We got some.
They did admit afterwards that they felt like maybe they didn't have a uniform scoring system. So it was one of those. Okay, that makes sense.
At least they're admitting to it.
Yeah, they admit that because so Kenny's a really nice guy, I guess, but apparently in the past had been accused of cheating, I guess. So some people don't like him. Whatever. I had no problem with him.
Sure.
At all.
Like I said, I have no problem with people. I make jokes about people's online personas, which in no way reflect them as people.
Right. Let's be honest. Kenny looks like if you slapped some white face paint on him, he'd be, he'd have a Juggalo name. Okay, that's the way he looks. But really nice guy, great painter.
Yeah.
Some of his painting videos and stuff are really good. But some of the other guys that were with him, just kind of were like bros. We're his bros. We're just bros helping out.
We're LVO event staff, bruh.
Not even LVO event staff. Like, just we rode in the same car.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was an Uber.
From Chicago.
From California to LVO. But yeah, I feel like they can improve upon it. I don't think they were expecting as many people. I don't think they've ever had an event that big before.
Yeah, no, the LVO this year with everything was just supersized.
Well, because they've been doing it at Adepticon every year, and I think they've been averaging like 60 teams. Mm-hmm. So we had 126 teams, which is more than double. Yeah. So they were panicked, they were stressed trying to get the stuff done, and some of the bro stuff. When I say bros, like they were high-fiving other members of teams. So it's like, fuck. If you know everybody, all you guys are all from the same area. We're from Alaska. We don't know shit. We're trying to introduce ourselves and have a good time, and we did. The second game we played, those guys bought my display board.
Really?
Because we weren't going to ship it home because it was so much of a hassle to get it wrapped up, and I did not bring shrink wrap with me to repackage it to send it home. Yeah. Plus, it was kind of a one-shot thing. It was a nice board, but
it wasn't nice enough to keep.
I mean, it was. I would have loved to have. If I could have gotten it home safely without it breaking even more, I would have. But I just didn't think I could because I didn't think I could get it back into the packaging the way that I had it. So they bought it and my team jersey.
Really?
Yep.
Maybe a design we need to add to the Threadless store.
No, definitely not. No, he knows a guy that lives up here, and one of the outlying cities, I guess, and wanted to rep Alaska for when he sees him. I was like, sure, man. I'll be honest. The odds of me wearing it again are slim.
Took the shirt off your back.
It was worth it. It was totally worth it. We had a great game. Had a good time. Those guys were fun. We got full sportsmanship scores, which was something that I really wanted to make sure that we got.
Sure.
So that felt good, from that standpoint. Just in general, really happy with the way that we did. After the tournament, we were sitting down, hanging out at a slot machine, enjoying, vaping because we're idiots.
Sure.
And it had been a long, stressful day. We hadn't eaten yet. Just booze, which
Obviously,
is smart.
The Vegas way.
Yeah, which is smart. Which is when I saw Paul Murphy for the last time from Forge the Narrative podcast. And I was like, oh, Paul, I finally have dice. And he's like, oh, cool, thanks, Dave. And I hand him these dice. And Paul's with two other guys. The two guys see the dice. One of them goes, are you the fuckers giving out the skull dice? I lost a game because somebody used those against me because we were giving them out fairly handily. And so somebody had used them in one of the ITC, in one of the championship games. And he was like, motherfucker, he kicked my ass with those dice. And I was like, well, here, have a set. Now you can kick somebody else's ass with it. They sucked for us. They were terrible for us, but apparently for anybody else that used
Transitive properties of Dave dice.
Yeah, right? So get your hands on my dice. You'll never lose again.
Yeah, unless you're Dave.
I'm probably going to lose again, yeah.
All right, well, that was LVO.
Yeah, that's
pretty
LVO.
much for you there. We'll probably talk about it a little bit more when Danny gets back next episode and kind of see it from his experience from that side. But we'll be right back.
Dude, I'm the best. I took first place at another tournament.
First off, stop with the thunder and lightning. You don't impress me. And second, let me check out the BCP rankings. And I don't see you on there.
What?
Your TO needs to download the Best Coast Pairings app and run events on it. After the event, the results are uploaded into BCP rankings, and the best part, it's easy and free.
But I play multiple game systems.
No big deal. The BCP app can be used for any game. A ton of events every weekend are using it, from major international tournaments to local stores. And now that it's available on Android devices, you're going to have some serious competition.
There can be only one.
BCP Rankings is a fun and exciting way to measure how you or your team stack up. No matter what you play, your score goes to an overall ranking, or compete to be the best in a game, a circuit, a region, or the world.
Download the app or visit www.bestcoastpairings.com for more info.
Best Coast Pairings.
Are you the best?
No, but I will be.
Yeah, soon. I want a big shout out to someone who left us a YouTube comment this week of, why would you purposely get a haircut that makes you look like a giant prick? I mean, that's the kind of wonderful commentary we've come to expect from our subscribers and fans. I love it. It's good.
So I want to say one last thing about LVO.
Oh, sure.
I purposely went out of my way to kind of not fanboy over like famous people. In fact, to do things that are counterproductive to fanboying.
Right, like just being a dick to Jeff Robinson.
Yeah, that was funny though. But that was funny. I had Pablo from Frontline Gaming,
Oh yeah, Pablo's awesome.
who we've met before because
Yeah.
he was up here for a tournament, which you two can come up for, Battlezone Ursa in September.
Yep.
I was like, oh,
Battlezone.
hey. I said, hey, you're Pablo, right? He goes, yeah. I said, cool. Hey, can you take a picture of me and these 3 other guys? And he was like, okay. Yeah, sure. I'm like just really confused because he's like, oh, he's gonna ask me for a selfie or whatever. And I was
I
like,
don't know, man. Pablo's pretty cool. He's pretty mellow.
oh yeah, no, I'm sure. But he like when Jeff reached for like, oh, I've got to go into my persona of famous. I'm famous
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, sure. I was like, hey, random dude named Pablo who's famous. Can you take a picture of me and these 3 other people you've never met before in your life? Thanks, man. And then he was like, cool. Do you guys want a picture? We were like, cool. See you later. Bye.
Nice.
I mean, sorry, Pablo.
No, Pablo's awesome. Big fan of Pablo. This is when you just go up to people, like you go up to your Pete Foley's and your GW people, like, hey, can I ask you a question? They're like, sure, yeah. I'm like, where's the restroom in this place?
Right.
Yeah, subvert those expectations, man. You, J.J. Abrams, you. Hey, I want to talk a little bit about Warhammer Adventures.
Ooh.
Attack of the Necrons.
All right. So you bought the audiobook, so you didn't get the hard copy.
No, I did. I bought the audiobook.
Have you seen the expanded like collector's edition set?
No, I haven't.
Dude, I wish I was a kid.
How was it? Let me Google up here. Talk it up.
I don't honestly know what it fully includes, but it's got, coloring book and stickers and just an activity book and just all sorts of other stuff to tie into it to get stuff going. And then, they're doing a Saturday morning cartoon with it, which, I'm sure people have seen because they visit the community site as much as I do, which is 100 times a day looking for new information and leaks.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I just saw pictures of it. Some people were posting pictures of it and going like, you know what? I'm not a kid, but this is pretty damn cool.
So I've listened to about an hour of it sometime in this next week or two.
It's about 2 hours long, right?
It's about 3 hours long.
3? Okay.
I'm going to sit down with my daughter, who's 13 right now, an avid reader, and we're going to listen to it together, and then I'm going to record us kind of talking about it, because that's kind of more the target audience than me.
13 might be a tad old for it.
But
But-
here's the thing. The first hour, nothing really super ungrimdark happens. Like, the only big things people are going to be complaining about, there's servo sprites are used instead of servo skulls, where it's just like a little robot person. But it makes sense in the context of the thing.
Sure.
They talk about the main character's mom is going through, she wants to find stuff from the dark age of technology, where I'm like, ooh, if you're looking for that, that's a heresy.
That's a paddling.
That's a paddling right there. But, and some of the introduction stuff is kind of to the young adult reader, but nothing really grimdark or anti-grimdark happens. Like in the first set piece really in the book, a gang of Underhive scum like infiltrate the ship and like grab her and go to attack her.
Spoilers, I'm planning on reading it later.
And there's this the champion of this gang grabs, it was like, this is my weapon. It's essentially a metal pole with a piece of metal welded to the top of it. And he's like, I call this skull splitter. You know why? And he's like, because it splits skulls. He's like, because it splits skulls. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is, I can see this here.
How many voice is it? The same? Is it David Tennant the whole time? Because it's David Tennant the
it
one
is
narrating.
David
right?
Tennant narrating it, and just the most wonderful David Tennant voice. Like, he uses his English voice, his Scottish voice. There's different voices there. Very well narrated, very well put together, and so far anyway. And like I said, I'm only about an hour into it here. Just very enjoyable. It's not so anti-grimdark that you're gonna think, oh fuck, it's gonna ruin everything forever. But it's also not so grimdark that's inaccessible. Because let's face it, there's some stuff that we read very inaccessible to a newer audience because it is just comically dark.
Yeah, I mean, if you picked up a Black Library book with Space Marines in it, obviously, and you'd probably be very confused why the first 20 pages was nothing but dudes in yellow armor just getting murdered.
Yeah, but it makes sense. I mean, the situations they're in. Well, in this Warhammer Adventures book, the situations they're in make sense. The protagonist's kind of knowledge of the universe, I feel is appropriate for what I think a 12-year-old girl would know.
Okay.
You know? So, of course, she's not going to be going on about all of this shit because kids in 40K aren't going to know about all that stuff, especially the daughter of an explorer, you know? So, yeah, so far, so good.
It sounds pretty good.
And like I said, I'll be listening to it with my daughter, and I think my son as well. And then kind of we'll be going through and kind of talking about their impressions of that book, because honestly, they have zero interest in Warhammer from me talking about it. So kind of hearing their thoughts on it is going to be pretty interesting to me.
It's one of those things where, you know, you and I suffer from the same thing. We read a book, and then want to immediately jump into making the army. You know,
Bought a new army.
Yeah. Oh God. What? I'm playing Custodes now because, you know, Chris Wright is amazing for
Chris Wright is an amazing. He's making me play Death Guard now too.
So, you know, I bought Eisenhorn after we finished the last book. I'm planning on picking him up. I'm never going to play him, but
he's an amazing model.
He's a good looking
Hopefully
model.
go get an index like the Assassin Index. Maybe an Inquisition
He's got
index.
he's got an actual stat profile already.
No,
stuff,
but maybe
so.
some good stratagems and rules to kind of help him out there a little bit.
Now, you're going to do this review with them, and I'm more interested in Lucas's take on it than I am your daughter's.
Yeah,
because Lucas is 9.
So Lucas is 9 now. He typical boy stuff. He likes football, things like that. I'm interested in my daughter's taking it because she does read so much and so varied, and kind of like her take on it. But yeah, definitely it'll be interesting to see what his take is and kind of this stuff where he's shown kind of interest but not really, and kind of where that goes from there.
Right.
I think what helps is a female protagonist really helps that story there. So yeah.
I've got 2 4-year-old nephews at this point, and they're too young for it, obviously. But it's the kind of thing where, you know, like picking up an audiobook and listening to it with them later on. You know, I've already done my work to get them into it. They have some Space Marines that sit on my shelves that they play with when they come over and hang out. And, you know, in a couple of years, we'll probably paint them together and stuff.
Yeah.
So I can get them drawn into my hobby to punish their moms. But, I'd be interested in the take on that because I could see sitting down and listening to 2 chapters with them, you know, when they're over and doing kind of like when they come over and spend the night, doing a bedtime story thing where we're listening to the book for a little while, you know, and just letting it roll.
Yeah. I mean, it's not super grimdark, but it's not super bright either. And it doesn't feel watered down. Like I said, it feels appropriate for the characters and their knowledge base. So,
all right.
Yeah, that's all I really wanted to say about that. Dave, you got anything else you want to add in there?
Nah,
you're good.
I got, you know what? I've talked all episode. I feel bad. You know,
No, you're good. I mean, you had an experience. I just had a baby, and they're boring right now.
Yeah.
Do my standard awful plugs. Thank you to all our Patreons. Patreon.com/mobrules. Thank you for people who shop mobrules.threadless.com for our t-shirt and merchandise store.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Each and every one of you. Check us out on YouTube at Mob Rules. On YouTube, Mob Rules, or YouTube/Mob Rules.
I don't know.
Yeah, something along those
You know
lines.
what? Just go to YouTube, type in Mob Rules, or if you really want to find us, you can just Google For Loco and then scroll down.
And we found out
you'll find us.
we found out if you Google For Loco, we come up. So yeah. If you search for Mob Rules on YouTube, you're either going to come up with a Black Sabbath song, a really good Swedish metal band, or our podcast,
which is neither good at all, so.
Or Swedish. But yeah,
sure.
Follow Dave at Alpha Devil.
Alpha Devil NAK
on Twitter.
And you've got the sheet for the end of the episode, right?
Yeah, follow me at Mob Rules John.
Yeah,
and that's about all we'll do. But yeah, for Mob Rules, I've been John,
and I've been Dave.
We'll see you next time.
Yep.